I've got one who's going to join us and probably leave us around 7 p.m. Yeah, but in any case, we are ready to start. Can I ask, Dr. You say the participants won't be showing on the list here, right? We will only be seeing the speakers on our panel here. So I just wanted to make that one clear as well. Okay. So yeah, it's now 6 here in South Africa, same as in Cairo. And I would like to take this opportunity to start this meeting and to welcome everybody on board, and so that we can go through our plans for today, the meeting that we've long been planning. And we are happy that today we are convened here today to start this meeting, where we're going to really have serious interactions and some robust discussions. And we're really looking forward to everyone's participation. And most importantly, we're looking forward to seeing some business development and some business activities that will be going on after this presentation or after this session that we're having today. Just as a matter of introduction, I will be the moderator for today. My name is Daniel Motswani, and I'm the country rep for South Africa, and I'm also the founder of Africa Rising Trading. On the line here, we've got different companies that have joined us to share some of the stories and also to share some of the success stories that we're going to share with everyone today who has joined us today. And we are having an interpreter, as I said. Maha is interpreting for us, and then we have also sent some of our presentations to him so that he can share on his side. But all the panelists have got screen sharing rights, so feel free to share your screen whenever your time comes through if you want to. And we know some of the speakers will be just talking through will just give us a speech on what they have prepared to share with us today. Having said that, I would like to really take this moment to officially declare that this meeting is opened. And by so doing, I am going to just say a little bit word about IABA, but the president is going, or the chairman is going to take us through who IABA is. And we are really happy and proud to be working with IABA here in South Africa and within the continent, because really what we want to see is we want to see one united continent where we trade freely, we invest freely within our continent. Having said that, I would like to take this moment to welcome on stage our chairman and the founder of the Egyptian African Businessmen and Women Association, Dr. Yusei, to come on stage and to give us a opening remarks. Thank you so much. Over to you, Chairman.
Good morning. Good evening. Sorry, good evening, everyone. I would like to mention we will have to use the interpretation option in Zoom before I start, because I will speak in Arabic language. We have a simultaneous translator. In interpretation, you can use another language. So مساء الخير، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بيسعدني وشرفني كرئيس لجمعية رجال الأعمال المصريين الأفارقة أن ألتقي بكم اليوم في يوم مخصص ليوم الأعمال الجنوب أفريقي. في البداية بأشكر سفارة جمهورية مصر العربية في جنوب أفريقيا، وبشكر معنا السيد راجي نبيل القنصل التجاري ومن التمثيل التجاري المصري ايضا بشكر سفاره جنوب افريقيا بالقاهره، واشكر السيد دانيال ممثل ايابه في جنوب افريقيا على هذا التنظيم وهذا الجهد الرائع. في الحقيقه احنا ايابه Egyptian African Businessmen Association هي الملتقى او الجمعيه التي تجمع مجتمع المال والاعمال الافريقي، سجلت في مصر لكن تنطلق الى القاره الافريقيه. احنا غالبا بنسعى ان نخلق جو او نخلق مناخ جديد في مجتمع المال والاعمال المصري والافريقي والافريقي افريقي، حتى نستطيع ان نستمر في التعاون وتنفيذ الاتفاقيات التجاريه والمضي قدما في تعزيز الشراكه التجاريه ما بين دول القاره الافريقيه. جمعيه رجال اعمال المصريين الافارقه جمعيه موجوده في مصر، لها 13 مكتب تمثيل في القاره الافريقيه، منهم مكتب جنوب افريقيا. عندنا 22 لجنه نوعيه تخصصيه في مختلف القطاعات والمجالات. ايضا من ال 22 لجنه موجود كتير جدا من التخصصات اللي بتغطيها في مجتمع المال والاعمال المصري والافريقي. احنا بنسعى جاهدين ان يكون هناك تعاون مشترك ما بين كل دول القاره الافريقيه، مش مصر وافريقيا فقط، ما بين جنوب افريقيا وتونس، تونس وغانا، غانا والسنغال، نيجيريا ومصر، بشكل يضمن وجود حداثه وتخليق جديد لفكر جديد في مجتمع المال والاعمال. لاننا نؤمن ان افريقيا تستطيع بالقطاع الخاص جنبا الى جنب مع القطاع الحكومي. افريقيا تستطيع في استغلال وحسن استغلال الموارد. افريقيا تستطيع باعاده توظيف وصياغه هذه الموارد بشكل جيد. اذا يعني قدرنا كمجتمع مال واعمال وكقطاع خاص ان يعني نسهل عمليات التبادل التجاري المشترك، وان نخلق فرص واعده حتى من خلال التعاون مع التعليم والبحث العلمي والتدريب، من خلال المعاهد البحثيه والتكنولوجيا الموجوده في القاره، نستطيع ان نصل الى جزء جيد جدا من التعاون. اليوم احنا سعداء ان احنا بننظم هذا اليوم عشان خاطر نقدر نستمع فيه الى اكبر عدد ممكن من التجارب الموجوده في ارض جنوب افريقيا. وايضا لدينا العديد من اللقاءات القادمه اللي هنستمع فيها الى تجارب اخرى وتجارب عديده من مصر، وثم ايضا في ايام سوف نجريها الى يوم الاعمال التونسي ويوم الاعمال المغربي ويوم الاعمال السنغالي كما اجرينا من قبل، والنيجيري كما اجرينا من قبل، وايضا لدينا في ديسمبر يوم الاعمال الكيني. نستطيع من خلالها التعرف على الواقع وعلى ارض الواقع على العمل المشترك على الارض والعمل المتوفر والفرص المتاحه امام رجال اعمال الافارقه. شكرا لكم، واتمنى اليوم يكون يوم جيد لنتعرف على مجتمع المال والاعمال الجنوب افريقي بشكل فاعل وبشكل نستطيع من خلاله رسم رؤيه وايضاح صوره الى العمل الافريقي المشترك من منظور القطاع الخاص ومن وجهه نظر حديثه. شكرا لكم جميعا. Daniel, can you start now? Daniel, Mr. Daniel, you can start now.
We were just switching over from the translation. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, for that opening remarks. And we are really excited and quite happy to be here tonight, and for the opportunities that IABA is presenting, to the African continent and even outside our continent as well. So we are really quite happy and excited to be part of this ecosystem. I'll call it an ecosystem because, this is not just a mere platform where it's a talk shop where people are just talking without any action, but this is a very brilliant ecosystem that we have embarked on, and where we're going to really see a lot of Africa being developed through this ecosystem of IABA. Having said that, Mr. Chairman, I also want to now welcome on stage the commercial counselor from Egypt, His Excellency Mr. Ragi Hana, to come on stage. Mr. Hana is the commercial counselor based here in Pretoria, in South Africa, representing the Egyptian government. So I would like to call him on stage and then to give us his open remarks. And thank you so much, Mr. Hana, for our interactions so far and your preparedness to come and contribute on this event. Thank you so much. Over to you, Mr. Hana.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, all. His Excellency Ambassador Netsiki Joseph Mashimbi, South African Ambassador to Egypt, Dr. Yusri Sharkawi, IBA Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to present my deepest thanks to the Egyptian African Businessmen Association for organizing and inviting me as a speaker to this event, which is coming in a very important term in the bilateral relations between our both countries, Egypt and South Africa. Egypt's attractive investment incentives, sound macroeconomic reforms, wide industrial base, political stability in a volatile region, large domestic market of 104 million inhabitants, strategic location in the crossroads between Southern Europe, the Middle East, and North Africa, as well as its competitively priced workforce, were cited as the main reasons why South African investors had chosen it. Trade between Egypt and South Africa countries is slowly expanding, and the growth of South African business interests coincide with efforts by the Egyptian government to strengthen its trade relationship with the rest of Africa. The lack of contact between the two countries had resulted African trade with the entire North African region amounted to just 1.6% of total South African trade, targeting to stop with the Republic of South Africa. Considering trade and investment side, one of the main core to establish these strategic relations, putting into consideration $4 to $6 billion during the next 4 to 5 years. As the numbers are dismissed almost, so we will need to look into how to become also the top 10 investors in each of those countries. We need probably that we go up to incrementally to roughly $5 billion jointly over the next 5 years or so. Furthermore, Egypt is also looking towards the rest of Africa as a potential source of investment. The government has taken steps to increase the attractiveness of the country to foreign investors. Laws that clarify and strengthen provisions relating to investment have been passed. After long delays due to the coronavirus pandemic, African countries officially began trading on 1st of January under African Continental Free Trade Area, CEFTA, the biggest trade deal in the world in terms of number of participating countries since the establishment of the World Trade Organization in 1994. But it is still negotiating around. Prior to the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, Egypt already had free trade agreements with many African countries, conferring significant trade advantage and making Africa one of the most important markets for Egyptian exports. However, the volume of intra-regional trade between Egypt and Africa is very small compared to the opportunities available in the continent. In 2019, The volume of Egyptian export to Africa was estimated at about $4.7 billion, equating to 16% of the Egypt's total exports, and less than 1% of the continent's total global imports. The African CEFTA agreement will open new markets for Egyptian exports, especially with West and South African countries, where there was no preferential framework between Egypt and those countries. The competitiveness of Egypt's goods and services in these markets will increase significantly as a result of the African CEFTA. Egypt plans to work with 9 other countries to complete the construction of a highway linking the countries north to Cape Town in South Africa by 2024, with hopes of expanding trade in the African continent. The Egyptian government is leading efforts to build the road linking Egypt with 9 African countries as part of efforts to boost development and bolster Egypt's exports to Africa. The Pan-African Highway would begin in Egypt from the coastal city of Alexandria and goes through Cairo on its way to the Arkan, crossing on the Egyptian-Sudanese border. The road will pass through the governorates of Fayoum, Bani Suef, Minya, Asyut, Sohag, Kena, Luxor, and Aswan to the Toshka junctions to Arkin. The 10,288 kilometer Pan-African road would cross through Egypt, Sudan, South Sudan, Ethiopia, Kenya, Tanzania, Zambia, Zimbabwe, and Botswana, and South Africa, ending in Cape Town. The road projects with neighboring countries aim to achieve sustainable development, promote trade exchange with Egypt's neighbors, and enhance access of the Egyptian exports to the Arab and African markets. The Cairo-Cape Town road is being co-funded by the African Development Bank in cooperation with the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa and the African Union. The Cairo-Cape Town road is a milestone project that will achieve land connectivity and increase trade exchange with African countries. In April 2019, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi said during the second Belt and Road Forum in Beijing, China, that the Cairo-Cape Town road aims to augment the inter-African trade exchange and investment. We welcome efforts to boost the current partnership as part of the Belt and Road Initiative with China and other parties to contribute in enhancing efforts of the African continent to achieve the goals of sustainable development and improve the living standards of the African peoples. Since 2014, Egypt has embarked on a very huge development program, mega projects. Egypt is building 20 new fourth-generation cities. Seven are almost complete. One of these cities was a new administrative capital for the country, located between the Nile and the Suez Canal, some 45 kilometers east of the present capital, Cairo. Government departments would start moving to the new city during this year. The Suez Canal has already been upgraded, increasing its capacity by almost 100%. These projects serve the Egyptian government program of creating a favorable atmosphere to attract foreign investments, encourage business, and achieve sustainable development as part of Egypt Vision 2030. Despite the COVID-19 pandemic, Egypt remained the largest recipient in Africa, albeit with a significant reduction, minus 35%, from $9 billion recorded in 2019 to $5.9 billion in 2020. According to UNCTAD's 2021 World Investment Report, in the same year, FDI stocks reached $132 billion. Efforts to boost FDI diversification includes the recent agreement to activate the $16 billion Saudi Egyptian Investment Fund, which lists tourism, healthcare, pharmaceuticals, infrastructure, digital technologies, financial services, education, and food as priority sectors. Nevertheless, foreign direct investment in the country is still largely directed to natural resources. This pattern has been reinforced by the discovery of the Zohar offshore gas field in the Eastern Mediterranean region. In 2020, the development of the Baltim Southwest offshore projects, the Katamiya field project, and the third phase of the Kamos North Sinai project have been identified as priorities, all expecting significant participation from foreign investors. A substantial investment, $200 million, was made outside the gas industry by Realm China, a smartphone manufacturer, to set up its regional sales and service facility in Cairo to serve the entire African market. The UK is by far the largest investor in Egypt, followed by Belgium, United States of America, and United Arab Emirates. FDI is concentrated in the oil and the gas industry, around 3/4 of total investments, followed by real estate, manufacturing, financial services, and construction. RMB's leading solution-driven corporate and the investment bank in South Africa, Where to Invest in Africa 2021 report, positions Egypt as Africa's top investment destination, with Morocco following and South Africa in third place. Based on their operating environments, other high-scoring countries have moved up the rankings, notably Rwanda and Botswana, now in 4th and 5th position, respectively. The dynamic growth of the Egyptian economy, its strategic geographical position, low labor costs, skilled workforce, unique tourist potential, substantial energy reserves, large domestic market, and the success of the reforms undertaken by the authorities, including many privatizations, contributed to drive up FDIs. Egypt recently adopted an investment law which includes performance requirements for certain investment incentives, including labor-intensive projects and geographical location. The government has also set up special economic zones with business-friendly regulations, more liberal, more efficient administration, tax incentives, facilitation of registrations and the customs procedures, better infrastructure, etc. The country ranked 114th out of 190 countries in the 2020 Doing Business report of the World Bank, gaining 6 spots comparing to the previous year. It is worth mentioning that Egypt would be hosting a pavilion of 882 square meters at Intra-African Trade Fair 2021 in Durban, KwaZulu-Natal, from 15 to 21 November 2021, and the big Egyptian trade delegation will visit South Africa during that time, headed by Her Excellency Minister of Trade and Industry, Mrs. Naveen Gama. The Egyptian pavilion at IATF 2021 will be showcasing the goods and services of 41 Egyptian companies across numerous sectors: banking services, cars, chemical industry, engineering industries, food, furniture, handicrafts, leather, ready-made garments, spinning and weaving, and more. Egypt exhibitors, including the National Bank of Egypt, which will be addressing issues related to financial transactions of trade between African countries, and one of its most prominent companies, MCV, which is in the automotive industry. At end, we can conclude that closer cooperation between the largest economies in Northern and Southern Africa offers one of the most practical means for increased economic development and ultimately poverty reduction for the continent. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for sharing so much insight with us, especially with the opportunities that prevail within South Africa and Egypt, and the rest of the continent as well. What excites me even more is the upcoming Inter-Africa Trade Fair, where, as you've just mentioned towards the end, that we will be seeing over 41 companies that are coming from Egypt that will be at the Inter-Africa Trade Fair. We are excited as IABA because we've signed an MOU with the Inter-Africa Trade Fair, and also with the African Bank. So we are quite excited to be part of this Inter-Africa Trade Fair, because it really positions us very well as well in terms of the Africa Free Trade Continental Agreement as well. So thank you so much, sir, and we're really looking forward to interact further with you as IABA after this session. I'm now going to call on stage His Excellency Mr. Joseph Mashimze, who is our ambassador based in Cairo, who's also, we want to really thank for being part of this session and to also contribute to what we want to achieve between the two countries. Over to you, Your Excellency Mashimze.
Good evening, everybody. I must apologize. Ambassador Mashimbe, I think this was communicated, is not available. So I will be representing the embassy.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
My name is Malibongwe Mkabuvana. I am the political counselor in the embassy here. To the moderator, thank you very much, Excellencies, the chairman of IABA, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. As you know, South Africa and Egypt enjoy quite cordial relations, which come all the way historically from the days that were dark for South Africa, where Egypt, as you would know, hosted quite a number of African liberation movements here in Cairo and elsewhere. So we do appreciate that. I think that needs to be acknowledged, even if it's now 27 years after South Africa got its liberation. Well, South Africa and Egypt, as I say, enjoy cordial bilateral relations underpinned by strong historical and fraternal bonds dating back to the struggle, as I have just said. Well, our relations, in the effort to ease political and economic or business cooperation, I'm trying to link this to the subject of the day, are conducted within the context of a structured bilateral mechanism that is referred to as a JCC, or Joint Commission for Cooperation, which was instituted in 1995 and is chaired or co-chaired at the level of our foreign ministers. This practical and structured high-level instrument is a strategic mechanism that we use to enhance both political and economic cooperation. Since the inception of the bilateral relations formally, there has been very little, I must say, success achieved in terms of trade and investment between Egypt and South Africa. Believe it or not, I have a firm belief that this is in the main a result of our peoples, South Africans and Egyptians, not knowing each other or one another, and that is important. We need more interactions between our peoples, whether formal or informal, maybe even more informal, so that we can know each other. This could be through cultural exchanges. This could be through improving tourism, so that people can get to talk to each other, to talk to one another and understand who each other is. Currently, very few South African companies have a significant footprint in the Egyptian economy. This can be attributed to myriad issues, including limited knowledge about the opportunities that exist in the two countries, the distance between the two countries, and the differences in the culture of doing business. If economic relations between South Africa and Egypt are to be improved significantly, there is an urgent need to invest in initiatives that could unlock the full potential of our bilateral relations. And I can tell you there's a lot there. These, in our view, would require political will to achieve. At least I can say without any doubt that President Ramaphosa and President Al-Sisi are committed to ensuring that economic relations between our two countries are strengthened and consolidated. In order for this to happen, the necessary business-to-business engagements such as this one should be encouraged. Our chambers of commerce and other business organizations from both countries should be the bridge builders and help us create strategic and mutually beneficial linkages and synergies. As you are all aware, Egypt is the third largest economy in Africa today, and it continues to grow despite the negative effects of COVID-19. The Egyptian economy was growing. To date, Egypt is still the biggest beneficiary of FDI in Africa. And that must be commended, I must say. The country offers many opportunities, of course, as said by the Commercial Council of Egypt, for South African businesses in many areas. South Africans have just to look. If they look, they will find. And we are here to ensure that they find those opportunities. We're encouraged by Egypt's leadership's decision to focus on the African continent. I think it is no secret that Egypt for quite some time has been looking elsewhere. So we're very encouraged that President Al-Sisi has repeatedly emphasized the importance of strengthening and expanding political and economic ties with Africa. May see him as a champion of intra-African trade, and that is commendable. As you are aware, there are a lot of lucrative business opportunities unfolding in Egypt as the government seeks to achieve development and to protect and to attract much needed FDI. In 2020, again, Egypt was among the top 10 fast growing economies in the world. That in itself tells you that Egypt is a country of opportunity. We also want to say that Egyptian businesses are invited to invest in South Africa, as our country is open for business and stands ready to improve trade and encourage investment into the South African economy. As I conclude, if the two countries want to improve the ease of doing business, we must work towards removing barriers that continue to hinder trade and investment and market access. Hopefully, with the implementation of the CFTA now, things will improve significantly. The Inter-African Trade Fair, as discussed earlier, is taking place in Durban next week, and we look forward to receiving you in our country, and hopefully conversations on future mega deals will begin. I thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that valuable contribution to this very important session that we're having today. So we are really excited about the progress that has been made between our two countries, and we're really looking forward for us to really gear into making those mega deals, as you've just mentioned now. We are going to run a little bit faster now due to time, because we also know that some of our panelists are experiencing load shedding, which is also another challenge that we are having in South Africa, where we want to see investments that is going through these power generation, where we envisage to see the mix of power generation within our country. Having said that, I am just going to introduce our company as Africa Rising Trading, just about 2 minutes, and then from there, I'll be calling on my next speaker. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Tshepo. So I'm just going to introduce, just to do a high-level pitch for our company, which is Africa Rising Trading. Our core business is Pan-African Business Development Consulting Company. And yeah, I can keep going up. And the services that we offer is distribution, where we source different products and services. Mainly, we're looking mainly into the African continent, and where we also do market access as well. And also we do research and training and development for companies that really wants to enter into the African markets. We also do investor relations, where we connect projects to investors across all sectors. And our main focus, we really want to see creating industrialists within the African continent, because it's only through industrialization that we can really be financially free or economically free. And our business model is basically designed around collaborations, because it's only through collaborations that we can make an impact within the continent. And as you look on the right-hand side, everything that we're doing, we need to see it being sustainable. And in closing, what we need to see as an end product from our companies, that we want to see to create generational wealth, not only for ourselves, but for everyone that we collaborate with, because all the services that we offer, and we cannot do them alone. So we basically work with other companies as well to make sure that we collaborate and make sure that we enter into the market successfully. Thank you so much. I'll then stop my screen sharing, and I will, as per request, I've got Mr. Mputi from Supply Circles, who's also going to jump into another meeting. And I want to give him an opportunity to present quickly to us. And then from there, I'll introduce our next speaker after the Supply Circles have came on board and shared his presentation with us. We have only 5 minutes. I've set the tone, and I've also indicated as the moderator that we can do it within the 5 minutes that we've been given. Thank you so much. Over to you, Mr. Mputi. Mr. Mputi, over to you. You can switch on your camera and switch on your mic, and then so that we can give us your speech. Thank you, sir. One last chance, Mr. Mputi. It's your chance now to come on stage as requested, that you're going to leave us earlier. So over to you, sir. Okay, I'm going to now go over to our next speaker, and I would like to introduce Mr. Tshepo Ranoto from the Department of Agriculture, Land, Rural and Development, who's a senior economist from the department. And Mr. Ranoto, the stage is yours, sir. You can take us through your presentation. Thank you so much.
Good evening, Mr. Motshwane. I don't know whether I should show my video or should I mute it? Hello?
Yeah, you can switch it on, sir.
I don't know how complicated my background is. That's why I wanted to switch it off.
But
it's on. I don't know. It's you who can see from that side. It's all right. So can I share my presentation in the meantime?
Yes, you can do so, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay, let me do it quickly. Okay, my presentation, I try to be as brief as possible because what I heard there is about the opportunities. What I looked at is the opportunities that South Africa has with Egypt. And as it is from my perspective here, I started by looking at what South Africa needs to do when they are entering the Egyptian market. And the requirements for products into Egypt are that there are two sets that I found from market access map of the International Trade Center, which say that for a company to import into Egypt, it's important that there are requirements. There are two requirements that are here that I have that are given here, and some of those requirements are identified by import codes, such as the code A140, which is special authorization for SPS reasons, and there's a code A150 registration requirements for importers, A210, which is tolerance limits for residuals of or contamination by certain substances, and other codes are available, such as issues such as labeling requirements, packaging requirements, inspection requirements, processing history, product identity, product quality, direct consignment requirement, and consumption taxes. And there are import requirements that are applied to all, which include the code E316, which is prohibition of used, repaired, or remanufactured goods. And there is G120, which is the cash margin requirement, and the G400 regulation concerning terms of payment for imports. And from there, I went into making some information based on trade map data and market access data from the International Trade Center that I compiled. And when I looked at it, because it is the table shown here, I didn't do the full screen, but as I'm looking at it here, the presentation shows that the amount of export that South Africa exported to Egypt amounted to 1.2 billion in the year 2020. And the amount of agricultural exports to Egypt amounted to 111 million rands in 2020. And this represented 9.4% of total export share from our country, compared to the world imports by Egypt from the whole world. Our export share represents only 0.1 for total trade, as well as 0.1% share for agricultural imports into the Egyptian market. And the top leading agricultural export products given here are into Egypt are frozen boneless meat of bovine 020230 HS code, which is called the harmonized system. And it has a total export share of only 0.2% into the Egyptian import market, and is 3.6 of total export into Egypt. But that represents 38% of total agricultural export to that country from South Africa, with a 0% tariff, and this has 24 regulatory measurements that are required to enter the Egyptian market. The leading exporter of the product into Egypt, as given on the graph, on the table, are Brazil, India, and Paraguay. And the other product that is imported highly by Egypt from South Africa is product zero, is bovine meat, which is fresh. And its import percentage is about 70% compared to the whole world, meaning that South Africa is exporting significantly this product to Egypt, and this can still grow further. And it has an applied tariff. It has an applied tariff of 3.1% share of total South African export to Egypt, and 33% share of agricultural exports. And on this product, the competing markets I have for this product are in Egypt, Australia, and the Netherlands. And from what I have from the table here, that the leading import, the product with the highest import tariff into Egypt is grape juice, which has the HS code 200969. It has an applied tariff of 60% and has 23 regularity requirements into that market. And South Africa represents 20% of total imports of that product into Egypt, showing that South Africa can still grow further if the bottlenecks of trade are removed from between the two countries. And the product represents only about 0.5% share of South African export for total aid. But for agriculture, it's about 10% as it is. Then I went on to do some trade DSM reports that I have here about products that can enter the Egyptian market from South Africa's perspective. And from the DSM report, we have three kinds of agricultural classification in the sector. The first one is agro-primary export products that goes into Egypt. And from the products as listed here, you can see it's chapter 10 of the ITC of the harmonized system, which is maize corn. This, according to DSM, as we interpret it, we had filters that shows the real comparative advantage that we have with the country and the relative trade advantage. And on this untapped potential for cereals, it has the value is based in million US dollars, and the amount is about 265 billion for cereals, with an REO of 0.15, which shows that South Africa has got the potential to still grow the export of this product into Egypt. And in total, I had about 20 products that passed the filters that have been described into Egypt. So these products, all in all, they have an untapped potential for primary agriculture of 315 million US dollars. That's for the primary agriculture. These are the slides that I will send through so that you can see from that side, Mr. Motswani. Then the next that is the agro-processing, which is the biggest sector that agriculture has got, has got potential to export into Egypt, because these are processed products and they are not primary products that are perishable, but are usually processed and preserved. So here we have products that have got a high potential to enter the market. And I can see that the first product, which is sauces and preparations, has a potential, market potential of 2.3 billion rands into the Egyptian market. And I have some, the metrics that is used for it there. And its potential market is represented by REO 12, and showing that the market, the products there, it's small, but it can grow and in the short and long term into that particular country. So all the products within this category belong to this matrix of real export opportunity of one. It's in columns. It's column 1, row 2. And the total of these products we have a total of 32 products that have the potential to be exported to Egypt under this product. Then the third product that has got potential into Egypt is a classification that is called non-food products. And here we only have got three products that goes into the Egyptian market. And under this agro-processed products, we have got The three products are essential oils of citrus fruit, which has got an untapped potential of 277 billion rands. And it belongs to the same column of realistic export opportunity of column 1 and row 2, which shows that it is growing. In the previous, there was some export of that product, and in the long run, it can still grow as well. It can still be developed should there be agreements between the two countries. And the other ones are, it's chapter 33 of the HS system. We've got essential oils of lemon, which has got a potential of 74 million US dollars into the Egyptian market. And the other one is the hides and skins, raw hides and skins. Those have got potential to enter the Egyptian market. It has got a potential of almost 69 million US dollars. And the other products that I remember of is the fresh fruits and vegetables. They do have a potential to be exported into the Egyptian market. So those are the kind of products that should be looked at from the South African perspective to be exported to Egypt. Then when I looked at the trade balance that we have with Egypt, I saw that South Africa is importing more from Egypt as compared to what we export to Egypt. Where I just had a look here on the imports that we have from Egypt, and I can see that we import a lot of fresh grapes, pasta, chocolate, and other preparations containing cocoa, and those are the kind of products that we import a lot from Egypt. So it looks that we have a trade deficit, showing that South Africa needs to do more to enter the Egyptian market in the future, other than only the Egyptian market being the only one that are accessing South African market. That's all my presentation. As it is, I can say that's how I can conclude for now.
You're muted, Daniel.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Ranoto, for that well-prepared presentation. We've been talking, I know, for quite a long time since we started to invite the department to come through. And thank you and to the whole team, that also supporting you. We know we've got quite a lot of your team as well on this session as well. So thank you so much. And you've really opened our eyes, of where the opportunities are. And we will really be linking up with you as IABA after this session to see how we can empower our members to really enter into that market. Thank you so much, sir. And I'm going to call Mr. Mputi again to come on. Yeah, you can stop your screen sharing, sir, Mr. Ranato. And I'll call on Mr. Mputi. Mr. Mputi, you can unmute yourself and then give us your short presentation as well before I release you. Thank you so much, sir. Maha, may I ask you to unmute Mr. Mputi, because apparently he's muted. I don't know how that's possible, but can you unmute Mr. Mputi? Thank you. Maha?
Yes, I will ask him.
I think we're having some challenges with Mr. Mputi, and we've got his presentation here. He's prepared a very mind-boggling presentation, but it's okay. We will share it. We will share it later on. So I'm just going to go on quickly to my next speaker, and I'm going to call in here the youngest of our speakers today. We've tried to call in the youth, to participate on our program, because every time I look into the presentations and sessions and events, we see a lot less of our youth being involved and a lot less of women as well being involved. And now I'm just I've decided to bring in quite a lot of women into this program and quite a number of youth as well. So I'm going to call in Tshegofatso Sekgotso, who's going to talk through to us about art and African youth using art and technology. So over to you, Tshegofatso. She's sitting right next to me.
Yes.
Thank you. Ciao, ciao.
Good evening to all the prestigious personnel and participants with us here today. My name is Tshegofatso Sekgotso, and I'll be presenting on African youth in creative art using information technology and art as a whole. As Africans, or rather let me say South Africa, an African youth who create or combine art and technology or information technology to create products which will be of service to Africans or even the world at large. That will be a tremendous profit and exposure, not only to creators, but to Africa as well, and our country, South Africa as well. At this moment in South Africa, we have a young man named Leslie Ncube, who has created a smartphone called Shumi, and he's actually developing his own computer brand called Tata, which pushes the development and advancement of technology and innovation industry in Africa. He aspires to be like Bill Gates, who is his biggest inspiration. But this is not a marketing campaign for Shumi or Tata, but rather an example of one of South Africa's young creators and innovators who could be a world-class brand or company with an African identity. Because these creators do not have or get the exposure that a similar person will receive from other parts of the world, their names and inventions are only known by a few. If these young creators would receive the sponsorships or investments and support needed for them to become a success, their names and Africa would have the exposure and the opportunity to explore the many art forms, talents, and inventions that we can call our own. From smartphones to cars to our own computer, companies and brands, not only covering the entertainment part of this, there are also young creators who actually create who have the skills and the tools to help our country and the South African communities. They actually create products that actually help South African communities. There is a young man who has created a smart glove, which actually interprets sign language into spoken language. And then speaking, there are hundreds, if not thousands of intelligent and innovative creators in South Africa who have skills and the tools to help our country and Africa at large. As Africans, we need to invest in our people and our products and work together as African countries to enhance our lives and develop or improve the use of information technology, artificial intelligence, and art. Speaking of art, Africa is one of the most ancient histories and stories that is seen in our arts and artifacts. Africa tells their stories in different forms of art, whatever, whether it may be a building, whether it may be a sculpture, through music, writing, fashion, and more. Africans, we are storytellers, and we have the capability to tell the world who we are through art. And we as South African youth, we also have the capability to make a name of South Africa. As a young graphic designer, I have the skills and I have the talent to actually make a name, not only for myself, but for Africa and South Africa as well. Everybody loves a good story to tell, and we could broaden our art spectrum and invest in the young artists, or rather any great artist who tells impeccable stories through different forms of art, and come up with platforms for them to create, show and showcase their art, and have people from different parts of the world come to see the creations and storytelling from these artists. Like I said in the beginning of my presentation, it will be of tremendous profit and exposure, not only to the creators, but to Africa as well. Africa can use to create, Africa can use to attract, Africa can use artists such as myself, or the talent out there of young South Africans to attract the world's attention. That is pretty much what the United States is doing. Countries such as England, that is what they are doing. They're using art to attract the world through media, through their art, through movies, through music. And we as Africa, or South Africa, can do the same. From South Africa to Nigeria to Egypt to any country out there, we can look for young creators and let them be the beaming light of Africa to reach greater heights and dabble in the future of technology and art. Thank you very much. That'll be the end of my presentation.
Okay. Thank you so much, Tero, for that robust as well contribution to this session. We envisage to see, your skill in terms of your art, what you do, what other pieces you've done, but we will be sharing that, with Egyptian community within Africa, so that we can showcase the work that you're doing. Having said that, I would like to call my next speaker, Ms. Wanda Lubelwana, who's going to share with us, the importance of branding. I'm going to bring Ms. Wanda Lubelwana on stage. Over to you, Ms. Wanda. Ms. Wanda Lubelwana, the stage is yours. Whilst maybe you're preparing yourself, I'll also call in Tolang, one of our youth as well, who has joined us today, a young lady who's also into the 4IR, and her name is Tolwana. I would like to call Tolwana in to take over the stage whilst Wanda is still preparing herself. Thank you. Tolang, I'm going to give you over the stage, Tolang, to take over the stage. Thank you so much. Maha, apparently Wanda is on the line, but she can't open her mic or even speak. I think that's the same thing that happened to Mr. Mputi as well. So can we open the mic
Mr.
for
Daniel,
أنا
Mr. Daniel, Mr. Daniel,
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Daniel,
Yes.
we keep احنا نترك الميكروفون مفتوح للجميع. We keep the microphone open to all panelists.
Yeah, it seems she, even Tseho as well, no, Tsulu as well, also can't open his mic.
We are not control the microphone. Microphone is open. Any person can, from panelist, any guest, from our guest speaker, can control the microphone by his
On their side. Okay. Okay. Okay, thank you, sir. Let's keep trying, Wanda. Maybe you can log out and log in again. I'm not sure what, how we can troubleshoot there. But let me call in whilst you're trying. You can just text me and to tell me that you are able to open your mic on your side. So I'm going to call in Emmeline from Cannabis Queen to come on stage. I know Emmeline has prepared an MP4 like a video presentation. I'm sure she'll be able to share it on the side. Otherwise, we can ask Maha to share it, Emmeline's presentation. Thank you. Over to you, Emmeline. Emmeline, can you hear us? Emmeline? Okay. I am going to, it seems we're having some challenges. I don't know where the challenges are coming from, but I know this has got nothing to do with load shedding. But in any case, I'm going to call in Samantha. Samantha, who is going to take on the stage. Samantha Matthews, Leighton Matthews, can you switch on your mic and then share your presentation with us? Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Daniel, and thank you to everyone for affording me the opportunity to share in this with you this evening. I'm just about to share my screen, so just bear with me 1 second. No, it won't let me share my screen, Daniel, for some reason. I'm not sure. Can you all see my screen now?
No, not yet.
Because I have pressed the share and it's not actually allowing me to share. Sorry, I think we're having a few technological challenges here. So, but I don't necessarily have to use the presentation. I can actually just walk you through it, and I can always send the presentation afterwards in the interest of time. So thank you very much for allowing me the opportunity to share in this evening. It's wonderful to see so many businesses and from around the world in Africa itself, and the richness of what Africa represents in business. My name is Samantha, and I am the founder and owner of Integrated Training and Development Strategies. My business lies in training and development primarily, particularly within the entrepreneurial sector, and looking at how to develop entrepreneurs, especially around socioeconomic development, recognizing that we have many challenges at the moment, and the entrepreneurial market is really an opportunity to grow, and especially when we hear some of the opportunities that have been presented here this evening already. When Daniel asked me to speak and talk a little bit about my own entrepreneurial journey, I thought, how best can I actually do that? And I've had a background in training and development for 25 years. Well, I keep saying saying 25 years, but I think I said that 10 years ago. So I'm in a little denial about the amount of time. And specialize in training and development in entrepreneurship, but also work in academia. So I straddle the two sides, and in academia also looking at working with the public management and governance sector and how we can look at socio-economic development from there and the economic sector as well. And in that capacity, I was quite interested in hearing about the innovations in arts and technology, because I also belong to a research unit where we're looking at how we can advance research in art and culture in Africa, and also look at how we can actually optimize and give greater exposure to cultural entrepreneurship. So that's also something that's very close to my heart. So in line with that, this evening, what I really wanted to share with you is, if I really want to share anything, it's perhaps a little of a program that has come into great demand in the business in which I operate, in training and development. And that is how to establish a creative culture in business. And I think really the question is, why creativity? And I think many organizations are not really looking at creativity as a renewable resource in a very proactive way in their organizations. So I just wanted to just briefly focus on a little bit of a program that I run that has been very, very in demand in the entrepreneurial sector as well, on how we can apply ourselves more creatively to our businesses. So if we look at why creativity is so necessary to actually be inculcated into the culture of organizations, is if you look at Microsoft UK in 2018, they did some extensive research, and this was even before the COVID pandemic, and we've seen this really being activated in many businesses. And the fact that the nature of change in itself has changed, and we are living in a world, what we call a VUCA world, of volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And the global life expectancy is also increasing. So we should also have 4 generations that seem to be in business nowadays: traditionalists, boomers, Generation X's, and millennials. And we can all learn so much from each other if we start to share creatively in that space. So the rapid rate of change means that we have to be responsive to change constantly, because if we look at sometimes now, the jobs that exist now, there are jobs in about 10 years from now that we do not even know will exist. So how can we gear ourselves more for that? We've heard talk about IRR and IR and artificial intelligence. And these are also some of the both challenging and opportunistic perspectives that organizations are having to consider, and especially those that are really trying to advance their business opportunities in economically challenging times as well. And as we know, Africa as a whole has a wealth of resources, and we need to know how to be more creative in actually bringing those resources to the fore through business operations. But now the question is, are businesses then fragile or agile? In 2017, a McKinsey study said that only 22% of organizations are in an agile minority and are actually geared for change. 78% are in the fragile minority. And this was research done even before the COVID pandemic. So organizations which are fragile in the presence of 4IR, rapid changes in globalization, economic pressures, and then of course the COVID pandemic, are really on the back foot at the moment. So the question is, what can they do to actually really create new opportunities? And agility is the defining ingredient in the next generation of our business leadership. And we need to be responsive to that. So creativity is an essential ingredient to that, because strides are constantly being made to reinvent, invent, grow, activate, and pioneer ideas. We're working in a rapidly and dynamically changing environment. In fact, the changes we've seen in the last 20 years have been unprecedented in times before. And we cannot afford to stand still, but the markets we operate within are highly discriminatory, and we need to be creatively responsive to them. And this can be done through creatively being responsive to technological advancements, and looking at the fact that the pressure is not there just to excel, but also to create great experiences through our business in order to provide a competitive edge in what we do. And the global village has made us very small, but it has has also meant that we need to think much bigger for a wider reach. And this in itself is both a challenge and an opportunity. And the other factor is in the economic challenges, we need to learn how to do more with less. And so we need to revisit what are our resources and how can we utilize them more effectively. And this is through dispelling the whole concept of creativity. We're living in what we call an age of anxiety, where we're often in crisis management modes, and we're not really maximizing and leveraging the resources at our disposal. So how can we overcome that? We cannot actually be responsive and innovative in a state of anxiety. So we need to start exploring our renewable resource, which is creativity. We all have a creative domain. Every vocation has a creative domain, and a creative domain even has its own literature, and that in itself is a creative leverage in your own business sectors. And it also has its own heroes. And in business, we all belong to a creative domain. So the secret is, how do we tap into and maximize it in our space and cross-pollinate with other domains? So what it means is the pressure to shift and grow is huge. Competitiveness itself has changed. Making things more appealing for wider audiences in select industry and societies needs to happen. And new ideas are the fuel for change, and creativity in order to create new ideas is the key ingredient for achieving this. In fact, creativity, innovation, these have become the currency of success, especially considering that we are leveraging some very tough space at the moment, but we've also got to recognize the future is now. So we have to be harnessing what we need to do now to be responsive to the now, but also looking ahead and how we can really harness the trends and developments. And that's why it really is wonderful to hear some of our youthful entrepreneurs talking about the opportunities in that respect as well. So creativity is really about how are we applying ourselves to solving problems? How are we turning problems into opportunities? And how can we carve out competitive approaches beyond obvious competition? Competition is not just the person we're competing with in our sector. Competition is so much wider than that. It's the wider context in which we have to operate as well. And it really is a question of going deep within for a sense of resilience.
Yeah, Sama, you've got about 2 minutes, 1 minute left.
Okay, so the question is how we can actually take creative principles to foster creativity. And this is really to adopt critical thinking. And one of the important things is to never stop questioning. But Einstein said, if we have a problem to solve, we should spend the first 55 minutes asking the right questions. And curiosity has its own reason for existing, and we should never stop being curious about our businesses. So we need to start questioning assumptions. We need to adopt different perspectives and go beyond what we see before us. We need to see potential. And in Africa, we have massive potential. We need to be scanning for it and paying attention. And we need to stop managing ambiguity, also in the collaborative relationships that we're creating in our entrepreneurial space. So that just gives you a basic gloss over of one of the major renewable resources we have at our disposal now. And I just want to finish off with, first, opportunities are abundant. At any place in time, you can look around and identify problems that need solving. Regardless of the size of the problem, they are usually creative ways to use the resources already at your disposal. The Chinese say, may you live in interesting times. I would like to add to that and say to you all as entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurs, even myself as a lesson to myself, may we find creative ways to live in interesting times, also so we can really harness the advantages we have at our disposal, particularly in forums such as this and platforms such as this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Samantha. Thank you so much. I know, there's a lot of passion and, a lot of information that you've shared with us. And we're still really looking forward to having one-on-one, discussion with you, with our IABA team and, everyone who's presenting to us today. We'll still have those opportunities for us to see how we move ahead from where we are today and where we want to be tomorrow. So I would like to call in Wanda. She managed to come in, and Wanda Lubelwana, who's a brand specialist. Without branding, we cannot have an identity. So I'm just going to call her in to take us through what she has prepared for us, and then we'll go quickly to our next speaker. Thank you so much, Wanda. Over to you.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that indulgence. My apologies for that. Bit of a technical glitch, but we have gone through it. My name is Wanda Lubelwana. I'm here representing Africa Brand Summit. And I'm here to talk about the summit and some of the considerations that we're talking about in terms of collaboration in Africa and abroad. The fundamental question is how, as Africans, unite. And how do we globally position ourselves? And that's what the Africa Brand Summit is about. It's a think tank on all the issues that are affecting Africa. Perception is everything. And as we know, it actually involves around sentiment. It impacts how investments are made, investment decisions, where investments actually flow to, and all of those things. So as Africa Brand Summit, we're a think tank that we look at all the issues that affect the perceptions around Africa, investment into Africa, and what makes Africa grow. And we are comfortable in uncomfortable spaces, and we are actually very purposely disruptive. We are not, we want to interrogate issues. It's not just a think tank and a discussion forum, but we actually want to make, interrogate issues so that we can come out with concrete solutions that can take Africa forward. So we look at them from different streams, whether it be politics, economics, finance, foreign direct investment and the attraction thereof, education, sustainable development, energy, all of those things. So the Africa Brand Summit was started in 2016. It's an annual summit. And it's been going on for so many years, mostly because of COVID and the complexities around that. Last year, we've had to just readjust how we do things. So we've been having monthly webinars. And I can send you also in terms of the links, and also in terms of the events that are happening. We have our last webinar now in November, end of the month. It always happens on the last Thursday of every month. But now we are preparing for Africa Brand Summit, which is May 2022. And we're going to be looking at all of those themes that we're looking around that in terms of how do we make and change perceptions around Africa? How do we as Africans come together, collaborate? Samantha was talking about, we need to think of Africa and investments and opportunities in a different fashion. So it's that is a platform in which we need to do that in. That is a platform that we've created. We say, as Africans, let's come together. Let's talk about those opportunities. Let's talk about the challenges, and let's be real about them. There's no room for sugarcoating of any issue at the moment, but let's concretely, realistically come together and talk about issues and how do we take our issues forward and grow together collaboratively, whether it be from Cape to Cairo, from here to Ghana, Kenya, all the way through. It's about Africa now. There's a new revival in Africa in terms of let's get investments in, let's revive our youth. We have challenges in terms of youth employment, in terms of social development and all of those things, but we've got natural resources. And let's not look at when you communicate externally, let's not look through the prism from which the external world looks at us. The world will say, you know, there's issues of lack of governance. Got a lot of potential in Africa. There are so many things that are happening in terms of leadership. There's new leadership happening. There's an impetus in terms of government. There's impetus in terms of collaboration and working together. So how do we bring this forward? So I want to just put it out there as Africa Brand Summit, www.africabrandsummit.co. Join the conversations. We've got a conference happening next year in May. Please join us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Wanda. You know, you've made me proud with time. Thank you so much. Well done on that. And I'm just going to cruise over to Tholang Matopa, who's also one of our young, brilliant ladies who've joined us today and who's going to share with us what she has prepared for the session. Thank you. Over to you, Tholang.
Thank you, Daniel. Good evening, everybody. My name is Tholang Matopa, and I am the founder of RPA Nuggets. Let me just quickly present my screen. Please, can you confirm if you can see my screen?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So my name is Tulang Matupa, and I am the founder and CEO of RPA Nuggets. My background is in management consulting, specializing in intelligent automation and business intelligence, as well as analytics. My academic background is in computer science with a major in AI, which is artificial intelligence, from Heriot-Watt University. So who is RPA Nuggets? We're basically an intelligent automation and AI solutions provider based in Johannesburg, South Africa. We offer intelligent document processing, automation as a service, as well as training as a service, rather, to help future-proof businesses. So I'll just move quickly, as quick as I possibly can, so that I can get to the crux of the presentation, which is really about women in the future of work. So reskilling the revolution can transform the future of work for women. So we know that automation and technological disruption will alter the world of work, and it's already doing that. So in the 2020s, 2021s going forward, winning organizations will be those that compete on an increasing rate of learning. Companies that continually provide their employees at all levels with the latest digital skills will be most likely to thrive and continue to attract top talent. This reskilling is imperative and may just offer the work opportunities we need to finally usher meaningful change in the struggle for gender diversity. And it will enable companies to move more women into good jobs, keep them in the workforce, and bring back those who have left. But this reskilling is not yet happening in the numbers that we need to. And the gender diversity gap in the corporate world is still far too great. A reskilling revolution could dramatically increase the rate of change. And if corporate leaders double down on their investments in reskilling in the coming decade, they can ensure women aren't disproportionately losing jobs and take advantage of untapped female talent. So in terms of the STEM shortfall, organizations are already finding it harder to pull in enough recruits with the advanced digital skills required of an increasing number of jobs. By 2022, at least 54% of all employees will require significant reskilling and upskilling. The half-life of a job skill today is about 5 years and falling. For organizations around the world to thrive throughout and beyond the 2020s, they will have to invest in the comprehensive training programs in digital and data and analytics for millions of workers, continually developing generations of agile learners and with the latest skills. So what is reskilling for women, especially if we're looking at the future of work? Instead of allowing digital disruptions in the workplace to cast women aside, reskilling actually presents a clear way to build advantage in challenging times and drastically speed up the pace of progress on diversity. A strategy that will be good for women and crucial for longevity of organizations. Reskilling can flip the odds and offer significant opportunities for women, particularly in the demand of STEM roles. As administrative or clerical jobs mainly held by women begin to disappear, women can learn new skills that pay as much or more and be retrained as the needs of the organizations change. Leaders should follow these steps in order to ensure that their reskilling programs is successful and keeps women in their workforce. So number one is targeting reskilling offerings to business functions with an overrepresentation of women, requiring a high number, such as 50% of women participants, involving female leaders in the curriculum, providing women who participate in important role models, and design content that includes gender-neutral job descriptions. So how are we doing it at RPA Nuggets? We actually have an initiative called the 2025 1 Million Women in Robotic Process Automation Initiative, which is basically a 6-week virtual skills development program aimed at upskilling 1 million women in Africa in robotic process automation and intelligent automation by 2025. While we're doing this, despite decades of progress towards achieving equality in the workplace, women remain significantly underrepresented in technology. Women currently hold 19% of tech-related jobs at the top 10 global tech companies, relative to men who hold 81%. We basically just want to change these stats, and the only the better way we know how is to share our skills in which our specialty is intelligent automation and robotic process automation. The program outline for this initiative is basically practical skills training. We want to ensure that people are not only trained so that they can get a piece of paper and stay at home. We want to give them skills that will allow them to either get a competitive job or start their own entrepreneurial journey. So we start off with intelligent automation fundamentals and advanced intelligent automation skills, and thereafter they certify from an accredited body or an accredited RPA body called Automation Anywhere, where they are provided or they get accredited in intelligent automation. The program itself takes 6 weeks, 2 hours per day virtually, or 2 weeks, 8 hours per day on site. In order for one to qualify, the criterion or the criterion actually is that they need to be computer literate. Obviously, they need to be a female because this is geared towards women in the future of work economy. A programming background is beneficial, but not really essential.
Yeah, you've got 1 minute, you've got 1 minute, sister.
Oh, thank you. Then I think I will just skip through because I've got a lot to tell. But in terms of the impact that we've made, actually, we have trained 500 women so far, qualified 500 women so far in South Africa, in Kenya, and in Nigeria. 300 of them are employed, as well as 200 of them who decided they want to start their own entrepreneurial journeys within their own fields, which includes engineering, medicine, and the likes. These are some of the testimonials we've got from the women or the girls that were part of the program. Mariachana Muturi, Kelly Ngube, and Daisy Muturi, who are, Kelly Ngube is actually based in South Africa. She got a job as an intelligent automation developer. I think 3 months after she finished the program. Mariachana started her own company where they develop renewable energy solutions, harnessing the power of intelligent automation. And Daisy Muturi develops telecommunications intelligent automation solutions. So this is an initiative brought by RP Nuggets with partnership with Automation Anywhere, AIX for Africa, and Pan African Chamber of Commerce. Thank you so much. Please visit rpanuggets.com for more information. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Thulang, for that commendable work that you're doing. And as I've mentioned, we'll still have those one-on-ones interactions with yourselves, and so that we can see how we can, scale the work that you're doing and the work that you've already done within the continent. So thank you so much. We will be in touch as well to take these discussions further. We are now thirsty, and I'm going to call in somebody who's going to quench our thirst. That is Tsholo Moagi from Beverages of Africa, and who's just going to take us through what she has prepared for us for about 5 minutes. Thank you. Over to you, Tsholo.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let me just try and share my screen. 1 second, please. I don't know if you can see from your side.
Yeah, but we have not opened it up yet. Yeah, so once you open it, we'll see it.
Okay, let me just try and go back again. Okay, let me minimize because I don't know what's going on here. Share. There. Still nothing?
Can see.
We're good. Okay, great.
Good.
Can we get a full screen? No? Okay, anyway, let's just begin. Thank you to the moderator. Thank you to the moderator and all excellencies observed in the house. And thank you to all the speakers that have already taken us through their presentations and their companies. As Daniel has already said, that you're probably thirsty by now, and we are Beverages of Africa, and we are saying Africa, quenching the world's thirst. So actually, this is a company that was birthed in the height of COVID, Beverages of Africa, and it was inspired by us having a beverage that we've had for 5 years now. We've had this beverage for 5 years, and it is a ginger beverage, and it became a household brand and product, especially during the COVID time because of its ginger base that we have produced it on. So we manufacture this, and it is a company of a mom and 2 sons, and it has been challenging, but we have had great times just learning about the beverage industry. And we are excited also to have all the other beverage companies that we have now formed a conglomerate of beverage producing companies that are actually in the townships, where we are now able to serve Africa and the world with the khamere, which is the ginger beverage, the different assorted juices, be it your cranberries, your pomegranates, apple, you name it, we've got it. We have spring water, both still in sparkling under our portfolio, as well as tonic water. So I was very excited when the other gentleman, I think it was Dateranuku, that was presenting on the, what do you call it, the agro-processing that Egypt would be looking into as well. And the mother brand actually is Sipsum Africa. This is the brand that gave birth to Beverages of Africa. And this was us realizing the fact that we don't win. We don't win when we work in silos. So we should work in collaborations, as Daniel has already mentioned. And this is how it came about, that Sipsum Africa would then give birth to Beverages of Africa, which for us, we feel that with the ginger beverage that has been around as an indigenous beverage for quite some time, is actually a nostalgic drink, because most people, when they do drink it, do remember most festivities, be it weddings, funerals, their aunts making it and so forth. And for us to now have a bigger offering, which is the portfolio of beverages that we then provide, that we hope to export into Africa. And one of our biggest milestones has obviously been us being piloted on our local airline, being Airlink, where they were procuring between 2,000, 3,000 units per month. This is before COVID. So COVID did actually just put a damper on our production and spirits for a while there. But guess what? Even in that time, we were still able to then come up with Beverages of Africa, even when the times were tough. So this is a beverage that we hope to actually introduced in most of the airlines across Africa, because we believe it is our pride and joy. It introduces expats into our culture, our indigenous beverages. It is a beverage that is non-carbonated. It is filled with vitamin C, which we all need in this COVID space, and it is zero alcohol. And it has actually been dubbed the golden nectar of Africa. I guess the golden because it is of a golden color. And guess what? It is made in the city of gold. So it is a very fitting phrase for us to say it is the golden nectar of Africa. And the second milestone was us being involved in a gift box that actually Netflix had requested from one of their suppliers. And it was for a series called Jiva, which was a very big milestone for us to be associated with a very well-established global brand such as Netflix. So we are a company that is growing and that is looking for great opportunities, which will obviously give even our youth the opportunity to come on board and come and work with us. And as I said, that we have this ginger beverage, the juices, the tonic water, as well as the waters. And
1 minute.
what we have here, sorry, 1 minute, thank you. And most of our raw materials is sourced locally. We source all our ingredients locally, but we've recently been in conversation with the likes of Swaziland and Nigeria to source our ground ginger in order to make this amazing beverage. And what we say is we cannot build wealth neglecting the health of Africa. So our health is very important to us. And the tourism market, we want to go aggressively into and go into the hotels, the resorts, the airlines, the restaurants in supplying all of these beverages that we have. There's a price list that we will share with the presentation. And because we are out of time, we want to say thank you very much. And we will like to quench your thirst. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Cholo, for that brilliant presentation that you've done. And, you know, for really showing that our natural ingredients, we can do so much, you know, with our natural ingredients. And yeah, you can stop screen sharing.
Okay, let me go in.
And yeah, so thank you so much for that. And then we are positive that, you know, we're going to work very closely together to take this brand, you know, into Africa, as it is, you know, really addressing the needs for us as Africans. I'm going to quickly go over to the university, Northwest University, to call in Mrs. Vida Mutlaneng, who's going to take us through the taking people living with disabilities to greater heights through education. The Northwest University is one of the top, is the top 6 university globally in terms of producing great results and great people. And I'm very much intrigued in terms of the people living with disabilities, because most of those people, you know, they are left behind and they are not really brought into much of the economic spheres that we see. So I would like to call in Ms. Vida Mutlaneng from the Northwest University to share with us, you know, the work that they're doing within that space. Thank you. Over to Ms. Vida.
Thank you, Mr. Motswane. As you have already said, I'm from Northwest University, and my calling in life is making sure that we position disabled people as active participants in all economies, not only in South Africa, but any economy they may find themselves in. I would like to start with just indicating that there are 5 broad categories of disability. 1, physical or mobility. 2, hearing. 3, visual. 4, psychosocial. And 5, learning. Northwest University is here to empower disabled students to make sure that they have they attain success in their academic journeys. We support students because we believe that disability is not inability. There is so much that disabled people can achieve in life given the right support. Disabled people do not need pity, they need support. So what we do with disabled people is we make sure that they are reasonably accommodated. We also look at universal design when it comes to infrastructure and also teaching and learning. We are proud as Northwest University to have produced the first completely blind PhD graduate recently. And he's not the only success story, but we have so many disabled people who have received different degrees and they continue to register for postgraduate studies. One of our graduates was born without both upper limbs. Now, a lot of people will ask, how do they manage? We are here, and as the student academic advisor with specializing in disability, we know that each human being has a lot of God-given talents to achieve whatever they set their minds to achieve. So that is where human support comes into place and it comes in handy. When you give the correct human support to a disabled person, Northwest University endorses the social model of disability. The social model of disability accentuates the fact that disability is a social construct, meaning it is society that disables disabled people more than the impairments that they present with. So we are here to empower instead of disable. Disabled is a term that is one of the 2 terms that was deliberately chosen by the United Nations at the birth of the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities in 2006. And disabled is a verb, meaning people are disabled by society. And so we endorse the social model of disability because we believe in empowerment. We also endorse the human rights model of disability, which accentuates the fact that disabled people are rights holders just as non-disabled people. I would like to thank you, Mr. Motsoane, for giving us the opportunity to promote Northwest University as a university of choice. With Northwest University, there are no limits. Anybody and everybody, irrespective of disability, can attain their goals. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much, Ms. Vida. You've also made me very proud because of, you have adhered to the time that we've given to you. You are a real professional. Thank you so much. And we will be engaging with you as IABA, as the university as well. So to see how we can partner, with the university in terms of taking programs within our communities together with the university as a reputable institution. Thank you. So I'm going to hand over now go over to Maha. I'm going to go over to Maha to ask Maha to play the presentation. It's an audio presentation that was done by Cannabis Queen to take us through that. It's exactly 5 minutes, and then we can just listen through to what they have prepared for us. Thank you. Thank you, Maha. Over to you. We don't hear the audio. It seems like we're having some technical challenges there because we could see the screen, but then we didn't hear the audio. Can we try again? And whilst we're trying, I want Mpande Buchelezi, one of our youngsters who's joined us, to also come on board to prepare yourself immediately after this presentation that we're going to try to play again. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 2021 EABA conference. My name is Emmeline Sukeson Pollock, and I am the CEO and founder of a company called Cannabis Queen. Cannabis Queen is a premium CBD wellness business situated in the heart of Johannesburg, South Africa. We manufacture and supply a variety of high-quality CBD products to the South African and European market. When it comes to the future of CBD and skincare, we believe that CBD is a functional product that can be a part of a daily routine with maximum benefit. Our team is consistently dedicated and on the hunt for new and innovative ideas. Today we are going to be discussing the differences between CBD and THC and how they affect our bodies. But before we get into that, we first need to understand what the endocannabinoid system is. The endocannabinoid system, also known as the ECS, is a biological system in the body. This system helps to regulate and balance key bodily functions. Research suggests that ECS may be the potential therapeutic target in numerous conditions. Cannabidiol, also known as CBD, is a chemical compound found in the cannabis sativa plant. When applied topically or consumed through smoke or edible consumption, CBD interacts with neuroreceptors in your endocannabinoid system. This sends signals between your cells to help regulate your movement, mood, homeostasis, and immune system. Both CBD and THC are chemically similar in your body's cannabinoids. This allows them to interact with your cannabinoid receptors. CBD and THC have similar effects for treating medical conditions. People typically use CBD to help treat the following: inflammatory bowel disease, seizures, depression, inflammation, and migraines. Although CBD comes from the cannabis plant, it does not produce the same euphoric intoxication. Still, many people and individuals assume that CBD causes the same effects as marijuana, because both can be found in the same plant. However, CBD alone is non-intoxicating, meaning it won't cause a high. Tetrahydrocannabinol, also known as THC, is the
That's it. Mr. Bennett.
But it's five. Mr. Maha, I see you having challenge that side.
Everyone هيك فيديو مرسل.
Okay, we can quickly skip through, and then we will send that presentation as well on our media platforms as well. And as we are also live on Facebook, we'll also share that on Facebook as well. Thank you so much, Maha, for helping us there with that presentation. And I would like to go over to Mr. Joshua Ngoma from Enterprising African Regional Network, and to come on stage to give us his brief presentation. Then from there, we'll go to Mr. Buthelezi. Thank you, Mr. Ngoma.
Thanks. Let me share my screen. Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir, we can see it.
Okay. Thanks, Mr. Moderator. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. My name is Joshua Ngoma. I'm a retired mining engineer, a serial business builder, business coach, and mentor. It's pleasing to see this evening a number of young participants. My passion is in developing the youth into successful entrepreneurs. I'm the founder and chief enabler of Enterprising Africa Regional Network, or N. N is a private for-profit but purpose-driven. So though we operate commercial businesses in business support solutions, technology, property, and agriculture, our main focus is on creating global impact through the development of a new generation of successful young African entrepreneurs, particularly in agriculture and the food sector. N operates in line with the 17 UN Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, and focusing on the SDG number 2 of zero hunger, and through our agriculture subsidiary, African Greeners, and using a competitive selection process, we attract top talent that we bring to our modern agriculture training facilities, where we expose them to the latest farming technologies and proven best practices. We have an 8.5 hectare farm in Centurion in Gauteng province here in South Africa, where we grow fresh produce. This is also where we provide formal training and development of young agripreneurs. We also have a 100 hectare farm in the Ekurhuleni, also in Gauteng province. This is where we grow fresh cut flowers, mainly chrysanthemums and a little bit of lisianthus. We have fully equipped multi-span greenhouses covering about 7 hectares under cultivation and a pack house. We are now expanding the Ekurhuleni operation by adding more food production. The farms are operated using climate-friendly farming methods that the candidates are exposed to real-world best practices. The farms operate as open profit centers and supply most of the farm produce to both local and overseas markets. And uses a 360-degree 12-month agripreneur development program to develop young people into cutting-edge agripreneurs. During the program, N helps the candidates gain access to land, which is very important, on which they would be settled once they complete the program, because we would prefer that we place them on the ground ourselves. We also help them connect to suitable funders suppliers of farming infrastructure and farming inputs, coaches and mentors to help them to produce to the highest standards. And we also look at sorting, processing and packaging facilities and access to the markets. And works with the several industry specialist partners because we want to give the young people real world experience. So we work with specialist partners in delivering the agripreneur development program. We have an accredited training center and we are Global Gap certified. And looks for candidates that are passionate, hands-on, and have the right attitude and aptitude for entrepreneurship in agriculture. We seek to build capacity and develop competitiveness aimed at achieving meaningful and long-term participation in the mainstream food supply value chain by most of our passionate and energetic young men and women in South Africa and elsewhere on the African continent. The organization also wants to ensure that young women are put on an equal footing with young men to promote gender equality while driving transformation in agriculture. END's goal is to work with other like-minded people on the African continent and elsewhere in the world to get sub-Saharan Africa to produce and export more food than it imports by 2030, while increasing levels of employment and prosperity, especially among the youth that are very much affected by the issues of unemployment. If we work together, ending hunger, I believe, is the one UN Sustainable Development Goal we can achieve in our lifetime. Thank you. Anyone that wants to contact us, these are our contact details, and we can chat. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ngoma, for sharing so much information and so much the work that you're doing, within South Africa and also in some parts of Africa as well. Agriculture, in terms of us as IABA, we and Egypt as well, has maximized or put agriculture, first in terms of investment and making sure that we involve as many players within the space that knows what they are doing, like yourselves. So we will be in touch as well, to talk much on the way forward on how we work with you within the African continent. Thank you so much, sir. And I would like to quickly go to one of our youngsters, as I said, Mr. Mpande Buthelezi, who's also going to share with us his innovation through developing mobile apps and so on. Thank you. Over to Mpande.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mpande Buthelezi. I'm 25 years of age. I don't know if anybody can hear me right now.
Yeah, loud and clear.
We can hear you.
Okay, great. I'm Mpande. I'm 25 years of age. I currently reside in Benoni, and I run a company called Eat Ventures. Now, it started in 2018. I named it Eat Ventures because it's abbreviated. The first phase is Eat, which is the food app which I'm working on currently. The food app now, I got the idea from the COVID happening, where I noticed that we were making so much money when I was working under Mr. Delivery and how the system works. And I noticed the glitches that they have and how I can upskill the market in terms of what I can bring to the table. So I did create a web app. And with the web app, I have tested the web app and everything works perfectly fine. The only issue I'm facing now is creating the app itself in terms of iOS and Android compatible, which will need a grant, of course. I do have a video which I did want to show to you guys, but I don't mind emailing it or speaking with someone after the meeting regarding a presentation regarding the app itself and how it works. I'd also like to mention the tea. I currently bought into a franchise this year. It's called Buffalo Logistics. It's not so well known in South Africa. I am a pilot and the first pilot and youngest pilot in Benoni to have started the e-commerce in Buffalo Logistics, and everything's working well. The only issue I'm facing now was that the money we were getting for delivering the parcels all across Benoni is basically £8. The vision that Buffalo has is that in 5 years, it will start to pretty much be one of the top companies going in competition with your Career Guy and Fastway, etc. But for now, I'm just going with how the flow is working out, and we have been growing more and more. The only problem is I had to leave the company, but left it running with my admin and my assistant driver, and everything's going well. And I'm working at Buffalo Logistics. I'm working at B-Shore, which is an insurance company, whereas I can use the money here every month to pretty much pay my admin to keep everything moving swiftly, because every week when we get paid, I pay my delivery guy, and as well as I keep the company running with the petrol costs and whatever else might come about, such as servicing the car, just for the time being whilst the company picks up, and due to COVID and people getting to know of our services in Benoni. So we're still expanding more and more, but it's just a slow growth when it comes to capital. With the food app, I really wanted to present it. I can pretty much show you a little shared photo of what the company branding looks like. Let me get to it. Here we are, this one, and presentation. Okay, that's more or less, that's the vision for the company. But as I said, can you see it?
Yes, we can.
The app is there at the bottom corner. It was just a trial run. The video would have been more elaborate in terms of how the app works, but I'm willing to speak with you guys further on how the app will work within the next year or two, as soon as I can get grant funding. But I have done my research. I have compared it to Uber as well as Mr. Delivery, and my experience working in the field as well. I know best ways on how to grow it, as well as the functions I should add into the app to make sure that it's user-friendly, as well as it's able to employ more people. I know with Mr. Delivery, we're suffering because of the fact that it's just Android compatible. So now if the app updates itself, we have to then get a new phone because it will no longer work on our app, on our cell phones. And then pretty much it's a bit of a challenge, but all I can say is that I am really seeking for the funding or grant, and I would love to present to anyone who would hear me out. And you can see that I'm an all-rounder and I'm dedicated, and I appreciate your time and as well as listening to my speech. So thank you very much for having me, guys.
Thank you, Mpande, for that innovative work that you're doing, and we are quite proud of you. As you know, I know you are one of the young men that I mentor, and we will be looking forward to definitely helping you out with the challenges that you've got, because you're addressing quite critical issues in terms of the technology. So thank you so much for the presentation. And I'm quickly going to run through to Mr. Cuthbert Ncube from the SA Tourism, South African Tourism Board, who is the president of the South African Tourism Board and doing quite extensive work in the tourism sector within the African continent. Let's hear you, Mr. Ncube. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Mr. Daniel. We really appreciate, and also acknowledging the chairman of the Egypt African Businessmen Association, and to all our panelists who have actually presented, especially during this time. One would always be tempted to acknowledge and start appreciating the power Africa has, and in our diversity and in so much to offer, especially the global community. We really appreciate, colleagues. We are dismantling the borders that separates the divide, that separates us as nations, and that separates us as brothers and sisters. So much to explore. Let's move to our within the region, within the continent of Africa, and sell our diversity and sell our products, and also acknowledging the efforts by Vida from the Northwest University to integrate our beloved ones. We have special needs. Normally, we have tried to disown the term disability. No one is disabled. God has created us in so much, and it's unfortunate that some of us we might have special needs one way or the other. But we really appreciate your work, and keep up the good work. We will definitely support where we can support. Yes, I'm with the African Tourism Board, whose mandate and whose advocacy is to say, how do we reshape Africa? How do we rewrite our narrative? One of our young presenters, she spoke so passionately about how do we tell our own story as Africans proudly in Africa. That is the mandate of the African Tourism Board. Colleagues, as the continent, the African continent, we have come to a crossroads, an intersection where our values and our policies, they clash. A moment in the history of our civilization when there is an acute need to realize what we have, to realize what we can offer, in contrast to what we have as policies that govern us, policies that separates us, policies that divides us as as Africans in Africa. The desire and the age-old dream of creating corridor spanning the expanse from the Cape to Cairo is still alive. And yet it must be viewed immensely as a benefit for both mankind and all our creation. In view of this, nothing can be as enriching as the union of borders under one solemn tourism connection that could be enjoyed more by humans than animals only. I am actually proud to say that steps towards this dream have actually taken place, breaking down the fences between Zimbabwe, between South Africa, Botswana, and Mozambique. And the elephants crisscross the frontier. And we're looking at a situation where, as human beings, as Africans, we need really to dismantle the borders that has separated us, both within the economic space and also within the tourism. We need to make sure that we have a well-cohesive approach. Especially, I have always alluded that we have gone through challenges during the pandemic, but it has afforded us time and it has afforded us opportunities as Africa. One of the presenters actually indicated to us this evening that they did so well, especially during the COVID-19. They took advantages. So it has afforded us, Africa, to sit down, go back to the drawing board and realize our worth, and realize our potential, and realize the power we have as Africans, so that we then disconnect from the dependence syndrome where we think that the best comes from above. So with the advent of technology, we have managed to bridge the divide that spans the space between nations, between countries, and between continents. So through mechanization, we have managed to enhance travel between distances, and through communication, we have managed to speak one language and transact business far and wide. That is why I emphasizing and pleading with our innovators here, with our colleagues, to really explore within the continent, explore within our regions. We always say charity should begin at home. So it is high time now to go out and reshape. We are so much impressed with what is going on in the Far East, especially the Eastern Bloc community. We have realized a need to regroup together and start marketing their products amongst themselves, so that at the end of the day, benefits will actually be enjoyed by our communities. With all these developments, colleagues, I mean, not enough has been done to destroy the walls and the rifts that stand between the 7 continents of our world. So within the strides of our advocacy, of our civilization, there still remains a lot to be done. As the African Tourism Board, we believe and therefore strongly advocate for partnerships that will help to foster our brotherhood between nations and between our communities, which, by the way, is a move long overdue. With the introduction, of course, of the free trade zone in Africa, which, by the way, it hasn't been implemented to the fullest. So we need to see those fences. I mean, that should be actually broken down. And we have actual experience, especially between the Kruger National Park, the Gonorejo, the Botswana and Mozambique, for the free passage of elephants and other migratory animals. So must all mankind who finds amusement in following them enjoy such or even greater privileges. That's why the emphasis is to say, let's break the divide that has separated us. Once again, we want to see a more integrated, more cohesive approach to human movement, which will benefit Africa as a block of nations and its communities. We are still experiencing connectivity among ourselves in Africa. And I am glad that Egypt have started to reconnect Africa through the passage by constructing, investing so much in connecting us as brothers and sisters, in connecting us as a continent. So we need to push that all member states should come together, policymakers, and also within our sector, in the tourism sector, in the economic sector, we need to join hands together. Once again, we want to see a more integrated and a cohesive approach to human movement, as I indicated. We need to form a strong marketing force for our goods, for our services, and a rare cross-pollination of ideas, of standards, hence the convergence of this discussion tonight. So we need to appreciate our cultures, our operational dynamics and approaches through sustainable tourism. And we believe that tourism is the only segment or sector that brings people together, that joins us together. So the culturing and environment for the transfer of skills, economic benefits, and advantages and growth as well. So before us stands a rare opportunity whose lifeblood is dependent on our devotion, on our open-mindedness in viewing Africa as equal partner in the developments happening in the rest of the world. Colleagues, we are looking forward to welcome you as we'll be celebrating the Inter-Africa convergence in Durban that will be taking place in a few weeks' time, the Inter-Africa Trade Fair Investment Forum in Durban in a few days. Let us all come in, let us promote our products, let us promote our services, let us appreciate one another as brothers and sisters. In Africa, we can do it, and we need to do it for ourselves and for the generations to come. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ngube. When it comes to tourism, you are the man to look up to because you're really doing so much. And we have noticed a lot of work that you've been doing currently as you were recently in Tanzania and doing a great work there as well. Thank you so much. We will see you at the Inter-Africa Trade Fair, and to welcome most of our people who are coming from many countries to come to South Africa. I've got just one but last speaker, Mr. Motswane from Muhuruti Enterprise, who's going to share with us the business that they're doing, and also sharing with us, how we can partner with them in the business that they are doing. Over to you, Mr. Motswane. Thank you. Okay, whilst we're trying to locate him, because he said he's on the call, we have run over time, and I want to try to bring in another interesting person from the tourism sector, Mr. Septi Bukula. I know he's got a problem as well with load shedding. If we can get hold of him, if he can hear me now, Mr. Bukula, you can come on board. This is the gentleman who's also, into agri-tourism, as well as we talk about natural ingredients, beneficiating of natural ingredients within the continent. Mr. Bukula, over to you if you can hear me. Thank you, sir. All right. It seems Mr. Bukula has got some challenges there as well. And we also have got, the fashion industry that has joined us as well. Jane Ndou from Jane International. If you can hear me, Jane, please switch on your mic and then just give us your 2 to 3 minutes talk. Thank you so much. We just wrapping up in closing. Thank you.
Which one?
Thank you. Okay, I see. I called in Jane to come in. I know that she had also some problem with her load shedding, and it says she does not show now. So I think, Jane, what you can do, you can try to send us your slides or your presentation. Then we will put it up, and yeah, we can then link up again to try to see, what you wanted to talk to us, to take through us. We also, I've just spoken to Muhuruti Enterprise, who apparently he can hear us, but it seems he can't speak on. So, but we will try. Can you try again, Mr. Motswane, to come in to see if we can see what you want to present to us? There's also the Cosmetic Export Council, of South Africa, which we have skipped because I see they are also on load shedding. But there's a video clip that I will send now to Maha. If Maha, you can help us to play that video clip for the Cosmetic Export Council, I'll appreciate. Thank you so much. I'll just send it through to you now. Ladies and gentlemen, just in the interest of time, you know, we always not win when we want to win, but I think we've covered quite a lot today. And I would like to take this opportunity to say the two presenters, the Muhuz Enterprise and Jane International, we will send in your range of products and your services that you're doing, and then we will make sure that, you know, we get the word out there for the work that you are doing. So I would like to take over this time to really thank everyone who participated on our program today. As I mentioned in the beginning, that, you know, we are not only about talking, but we're also going to see a lot of action happening, a lot of interactions with everybody who participated on the program, and also the trade and investment opportunities that we're going to see between our two countries. We will also want to be at the Inter-Africa Trade Fair as IABA, so that we are visible there at the Trade Fair conference, and then so that we can also interact with many of other countries that will be participating at the Trade Fair. Having said that, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the chairman, Dr. Yusei, for setting up this ecosystem. I want to thank our diplomatic offices, both in South Africa and in Egypt, and also to thank all our participants who participated today. The opportunities that have been presented, the challenges, we will work together in terms of us making sure that, you know, we overcome the challenges, but also scale up those businesses that are ready to scale. We've seen a lot of technology partners that have came on board, the art, you know, and all that, what we have seen today. So thank you so much. And I would like to take this opportunity to call this meeting to the end as we close now, and thank you everybody. May I ask that we all switch on our cameras that are on so that we can quickly take a group photo. Maha, if you can help us with a group photo on your side, then we can quickly take a group photo and then close off the session. Thank you so much. And Maha, you can tell us when you have taken the picture, and then we can close off thereafter. And thank you so much, everybody. We're looking forward to interacting with each and every one of you. All the inquiries can come through to africrising@gmail.com, and then we will link you up with everybody that, you know, you want to network with from here. Thank you so much, and good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Muswani.
Thank you, Mr. Chapo. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Yes. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.